have gone through before?
Yes, we did, and I know everybody has a different thought, and it's just so lucky to be in this situation where a kid can come and say, I played at Dodger Stadium, and that's what it's all about.
It's kind of a nice going away for most of your seniors, and you got quite a few. I know you're real proud about some of them on their way to the Air Force Academy and to West Point.
Yes, we have a pitcher tonight's going to Richard Frampton. He's going to the Air Force Academy. Our catcher is going, Alan Cheney is going to West Point, and Santi Vaca is going to Air Force Academy. And so you're around those kind of kids. The ability is one thing, the fun and what they teach me, that's what keeps me maybe staying young, thinking anyhow.
Thinking young. Mike Mayo, the head coach for El Camino. El Camino against Granada Hills. We'll be back in just a moment. And how quickly we are back. The miracle of television here. Bill Seward along with Steve Himber up in the big booth where Ross, Jerry, and the gang, and especially Vinny, hang out during Dodger home contest. The Dodgers, of course, out of town and won't be back for a little bit, at least until this game's over. You had a chance to talk a little bit with Darryl Stroh of Granada Hills High School. He's a man that's been here quite a few times. He's familiar with not only the stadium, but the championship play.
Well, of course, Darryl's been here 1975 through 79, 4 straight City 4A baseball championships. And here's what Coach Darryl Stroh of the Granada Hills Highlanders had to say. Okay, Coach Stroh, Granada Hills Highlanders, congratulations on leading your team once again to yet another shot at a City 4A baseball championship. Thanks for coming down and talking with us.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mid-Valley League champion, 17-3-1 coming into this game. Young ball club, you've been here before, 75 through 79. You won the City 4A title. Last time was with John Elway, of course. And this year, a young ball club, but similar to those ball clubs in many respects.
Yes, we're very much alike, I think, over the years. We try to build around a strong defense and try to get good pitching and hope we can score a few runs in the...
One thing I think a lot of fans noticed coming into this game at Dodger Stadium, you're playing against an El Camino Real high school team, 8-7 in the West Valley League, yet not a team to be taken lightly.
No, not at all. It's not really the one-loss record. It's how well you're playing at the end of the year. If you can get in the playoffs and you're playing well at the end of the year, any team has a chance, and they've certainly been playing outstanding baseball in the last part of this season.
And we talked about it before, that game against Cleveland High School the other day, the game they won to get into this game, a football score, 28-7. So they're certainly a team to be reckoned with. Coach Stroh, thank you very much for coming down and joining us this evening, and good luck to your Highlanders.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, so the stage is set here at Dodger Stadium. Granada Hills and El Camino. El Camino, a relatively new school, if you're looking at things in the San Fernando Valley. Formed in 1969. There's Mike Mayo of El Camino, and this is their first time in the city baseball finals. Granada Hills, on the other hand, Steve, has been here quite a few times. And there's Darryl Stroh, 1975, the first year the Highlanders came to the city finals, and Darryl Stroh was the manager. Also in 76, they won the championship there in 75 and 76, and in years 78 and 79, and some pretty good ball players on those clubs.
Let me tell you something about the 79 game especially, Bill. That was a game that matched John Elway, of course, the quarterback of the Denver Broncos now. He pitched the game for Granada Hills in 79, threw a no-hitter. Darryl Strawberry, on the other hand, was on the opposing team, Crenshaw High. What a game. There must have been 20,000 fans here in Dodger Stadium. It was truly a sight to behold.
Do you remember if anybody hit one out of here?
I don't recall anyone hitting it out. I talked to Gene Bucheri. He said that last year one of the players for Chatsworth High School came awfully close, and we saw here in the 3A game prior to this game a player for Venice High, I believe, or was it Westchester?
It was Westchester. It was Ken Norton Jr., the son of the former heavyweight boxing champion.
Well, he just got a hold of one 100%. I'll tell you, hit it all the way out to the warning track and straight away center field, and that's a poke for anybody here in Dodger Stadium.
And last year, Chatsworth did win the City 4A title, and Bob Lafrano, the manager of that Chatsworth team, and Chatsworth couldn't quite make it the distance this year, and the surprise team, of course, El Camino, who finished third in their conference play. Mike Sweet to lead things off. El Camino, as we said, an 8-7 record. And yet it all comes down to one game. If they can put things together for about 7 innings here against Granada Hills. They will be the champions of Los Angeles City Baseball. And on the mound, Frank Halkovich. Halkovich, big right-hander. If not on the mound, Frank's usually out in right field, about 6'2", 190 pounds. And the senior we've seen throughout the year, and of course during Legion play last year here on KVLY. And Frank, I should say, taking his warm-up tosses to catcher Larry Monkarsh. Will set things for you defensively for Granada Hills. At first base, Dave Peskin. Peskin, number 24. Billy Kirsten over at second, wearing number 12, and we've seen them play prominently in quite a few Granada Hills victories on previous KVLY telecasts. Greg Falble at short and Joey Bloomfield at third. The outfield looks to be, well, Dan Takahashi is in center field. In left field, Brett Bihar, and over around in right is Fred Ryson. Ryson and Halkovich, the 1-2 combination for Granada Hills on the mound, at least as the season has gone so far. And if Halkovich cannot go the distance, Freddie Ryson will be called in from right field. And Mike Sweet will advance to the plate. Mike, the shortstop tonight for El Camino. Mike, a right-hand batter. Takes a look down third base line, makes sure it's 330 down there, and it is to the pole in left field. Halkovich steps off the mound for a second, and you gotta wonder what's going through some of these guys' minds as it's a lot different when you're on the field and you're looking up at this structure and the noise that comes from it. Is Halkovich about ready to deal? And here's the first pitch, and a ball called.
This is what it's all about, Bill. All those memories out in Chavez Ravine.
And this is a lot different than playing at El Camino or Granada Hills High School. I can assure you that. And it's nice to have the scoreboard out here. We got all kinds of luxuries here in this game. 2-0 the count to Mike Sweet. Halkovich's next pitch also a little low. So Halkovich working quickly finds himself down a 3-0 count to leadoff hitter Mike Sweet. And there you have it.
And right away, Bill, we notice something a little bit different about Frank. He's usually a little bit more deliberate than he has showed us so far this early juncture of the game.
That one catches the corner, puts the count at 3-1. Sweet to be followed by catcher Alan Cheney and then center fielder Ross Hirsch. The 3-1 pitch, there's ball 4. And Mike Sweet is aboard. He'll be held on by Dave Peskin over at first base. And the first base coach is Santi Vaca. Vaca, as Coach Mayo noted, on his way to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado. His colors won't change much as the bunt laid down by Cheney. Halkovich up with it, has only played to first and in time. As advancing to seconds, Mike Sweet. And you can see a charged up El Camino ball club, and especially the run of Alan Cheney. I don't think I've seen a catcher wheel and come back to the dugout that quickly.
It was an excellent bunt by Cheney. Halkovich making a good move to throw him out at first base. Right away we see fundamental baseball, and this is where it's got to happen here in the finals of the 4A Baseball Championship, Los Angeles City.
Ross Hirsch steps in from the left side. First pitch from Halkovich on the corner for a strike. Hirsch takes a look at the second offering, 1-1. The last game we did here on KVLY, the season ender, was El Camino against Chatsworth. And Hirsch played a big part in that game for El Camino. I believe Hirsch had 3 hits in that contest. And is also, as he fouls that one up the first base line, Hirsch also an important part of the wins over Narbonne, Poly, and Cleveland.
No, as a matter of fact, Bill, in that last game against Cleveland, the game in which El Camino qualified to reach this final game, Hirsch and Sweet each hit 3-run homers. So he's got some power from the left-hand side.
And there's a drive to center field, going to sink. We might have a play at the plate. No, they'll hold up Sweet at third. And wisely on a very nice throw by Danny Takahashi from center field. But El Camino has runners on first and third. There's Ross Hirsch, who I'm sure is very happy just to get that first at-bat out of the way, get the butterflies gone. And he got rid of all of them on that single to center field. One down, and Chris Bosson steps in. A throw over to first, and sliding back is Ross Hirsch. Bosson, the designated hitter tonight. He'll be DHing for the pitcher, Rick Frampton. A swing and a miss. Monkarsh will not throw, and a sliding Ross Hirsch takes second. So now with one down, an 0-1 count to Bosson. Hirsch off of second, Sweet away from third. And another swing and miss by Chris Bosson. 0-2.
Wicked curveball on that last pitch, Bill.
Bosson digging back in. The last couple times he looked a little extended and away from the ball, and that gets away from Larry Monkarsh. Here comes one run to score as the tag by Halkovich, not in time. A sliding Mike Sweet has El Camino up 1-0 here in the top of the first inning. And standing safely at third is Ross Hirsch on a pass ball by Larry Monkarsh. We'll take another look at it. This was something we were going to talk about. Well, we'll call it, I guess, is it a pass ball or a wild pitch? What do you think?
If I'm scoring that, I call it a wild pitch. He pulled Monkarsh off the plate, and I think you were going to talk about the fact that most of these players haven't played in a stadium where they have to run so far back to retrieve a ball that gets past them at home plate. Tough play for Monkarsh. Almost got him, as a matter of fact, at home.
So 2-2 the count to Bosson. Halkovich back on top. The games that we've done from Granada Hills High School, there's a fly ball to left field. Should be deep enough to get Hirsch. We'll see. The throw by Bloomfield will be way late. It's cut off at third by Joey Bloomfield. That's Brett Bihar out in left field with the catch and the toss. So 2-0 El Camino. And the Cinderella team has put two up on the board here in the top of the first inning. Two are down. And Jeff Brunson, the left fielder, about to come in. Darryl Stroh.
And Bill, it looks like Fred Rison is heading into the right field bullpen to come in possibly for Frank Halkovich. We talked to Darryl Stroh and his assistant coach Tim Collins prior to this game, and both of them said that if Halkovich showed the slightest tendency to be a little wild, they wouldn't hesitate to bring Rison in, and it looks like they're sending him out to the bullpen to warm up right now.
So they put L. Fortman out in right field, and evidently Rison went into the bullpen. There he is. And Fred will take some warm-up tosses down in the right field bullpen. And the first pitch to Jeff Brunson, a ball, 1-0. Two out here, 2-0 El Camino. Brunson's ground ball by Bloomfield and into left. Another base runner for the Conquistadors. And Frank Halkovich is piling up some bad memories here at Dodger Stadium in the top of the first.
First baseman, number 12, John Burnett.
And still two out. Halkovich getting close to being out of the woods, but he can't quite find the last couple of yards of freedom. And John Burnett, the first baseman, rips one fair, rolling down in the left field corner as Bihar comes across to get it. Into third is Brunson, and standing safely at second with a double is John Burnett. if they could use the phones, it would be heavily ringing right now in the Granada Hills bullpen as Darryl Stroh comes out to talk to Frank Halkovich. We'll take another look at it.
Brunson just goes with the pitch, pushes it down the left field line past Bloomfield. Behar left field picking it up, but by that time Brunson safely into second. And of course Burnett into second, and Brunson into third. So it's runners at second and third, 2 down. And I guess Stroh out on the mound now talking to Halkovich. And it looks like we may have a new pitcher into the game, Bill.
And everybody's sort of milling around out on the field, just trying to give Fred Ryson time to warm up in that bullpen. And Frank Halkovich, who couldn't quite find it here in the first inning, is standing there alongside his infield partners. That's Greg Falble, number 8, and Joey Bloomfield, number 4, the third baseman. I don't believe Halkovich will resume. Otherwise, we'd already be back in action. We'll see. Well, maybe he will. Stroh's visit the first time wasn't an official trip out. He didn't cross the chalk line. He had a word with the home plate umpire, and now Darryl will come out, and this might do it. So as soon as he touches the chalk, I believe that's the second one. There we go. Okay, well, there's 2 out here in the top of the first inning. El Camino's on top 2-0. And we will be back with more from Dodger Stadium after this timeout.
Agriculture is America's largest industry. To keep America on the grow, we must continue to invest in young people and the technology to ensure our leadership. That's why I'm asking for your support of vocational and technical education programs in agriculture on behalf of the future farmers of America in your community. Together, we're keeping America on the grow.
Back at Dodger Stadium, Bill Seward along with Steve Himber. 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. A new pitcher, Fred Ryson, on the mound, the left-hander, working against Trent Crosby, and the first pitch is fouled back. 0-1 the count. On at third, Jeff Brunson. And at second, John Burnett. There's the story on Frank Halkovich, who's now out in right field. 2/3 of an inning, gave up 3 hits and 2 runs, and was also charged with that wild pitch that brought home the first run of the contest. So it's been an El Camino inning so far, and the next pitch from Ryson to Crosby, inside low for a ball. 1-1 the count.
We've seen Ryson throw a couple times this year, Bill. He comes into this game with a record of 10-2 on the season. Pitched that last game against Banning. Won that one 4-3 to get the Highlanders here into the championship ball game.
And Ryson with a little play on at second, no throw, and sliding back in time is John Burnett. Ryson, a hard luck loser last time out here on KVLY against San Fernando, a 1-0 ball game. We brought that one to you. He gets a strike against Crosby. And Ryson stomps his way back up the hill. He knows what he's got to do. 2-0, his team is down. The 1-2 pitch, curveball, bounce back. So Trent Crosby trying to keep things alive for El Camino here in the top of the first inning from Dodger Stadium, the city. 4A finals. And pitting 2 teams from the San Fernando Valley. The pitch from Ryson lifted to the right side, but Peskin stretches up to snare that one. And it'll put an end to El Camino here in the top half of the first. But not before the Conquistadors pick up 2 runs on 3 hits and leave 2 men on base. And after half an inning, 2-0, El Camino over Granada Hills.
You're watching KBLY Channel 3.
Back at Dodger Stadium, the City 4A Finals in baseball, El Camino against Granada Hills, and the Conquistadors of El Camino out in front early 2-0 here in the bottom of the first. Granada Hills will send up Greg Fobel, Bill Kirsten, and Frank Halkovich, setting things for you defensively for El Camino. On the mound, number 15 is Rick Frampton. Behind the plate will be Alan Cheney. Over at first base, be number 12, John Burnett. There's John coming up the hill. We got them all together now. Trent Crosby, number 10. And to the left side there, Mike Sweet, the shortstop. And given directions as he's done before, and he gave to me, I believe, at the Chatsworth El Camino game, third baseman Nick Hager. Hager, I said previously, held the position of sports information director at El Camino. Did a wonderful job. Out in left field, Jeff Brunson. In center, that's Ross Hirsch. And over around in right, Mark Roston. There's Mark. Mark's checking behind him, wants to make sure he can get some decent seats out in the right field pavilion. Dodger Stadium, the City 4A Finals. And the first time at bat for Granada Hills, the Highlanders 17-3-1 to face Rick Frampton. The first pitch from Frampton, inside for a ball. 1-0 the count to Greg Fobel, the shortstop. And in case you aren't aware of the dimensions here at the big blue diamond, 330 down the lines, 370 or 385, I guess, to the alleys in right and left. And I'm not exactly sure what it is to center field. We got 395 just to the right of each of the flagpoles, the one for the state and the Stars and Stripes. But let's guess 400 feet to dead center. What do you think,
Whatever
Steve?
it is, it's a long, long, long way. I'll tell you, it's a big poke out there. In Fobel, the shortstop for Granada, the man we see at bat for Granada right now, a sophomore, as he gets strike one called. He thought he had a ball on that one. Bill, already only a sophomore, but considered one of the top shortstops in the city, as this whole entire Granada infield considered the top in the city right now. Pretty impressive for a 16-year-old baseball player.
And there's ball 4, so Fobel's on. I think it lends a lot to your credibility when you're the leadoff hitter and the shortstop for a team that's at Dodger Stadium tonight playing in the finals of 4A baseball. So with Fobel on at first, Bill Kirsten, the second baseman, to step in. Kirsten, 5'11" senior. In from the right side. Burnett holding Fobel on at first. And Hager in on the grass at third. And time called.
An interesting story, Bill, about 4 of the players on this Granada Hills team. The man we see at bat, Greg Fobel, along with Billy Kirsten, Fred Rice, and Danny Takahashi. All 4 of them on the Granada Hills Pony Colt team that went all the way to the World Series in Lafayette, Indiana last year.
So they're probably used to traveling and playing in front of some pretty big crowds. I don't know if they played in bigger arenas of sport than this. And a slow start by Rick Frampton. Frampton had the count at 3-1 when he walked Fobel. Here's the pitch, the bunt laid down. Hager up with it. His play to first, in time to retire Kirsten. The throw down to second. They don't have him, and the tag applied by Mike Sweet. Almost got Greg Fobel stretched away from second base. We'll take another look at it.
Batting the number 3 position.
Kirsten at the bat swings it around and handles the fastball fairly well. Hager up with it to get him in time, and they almost catch Phobal leaning the wrong way toward third base, but already we see a characteristic of many Darrell Stroh Granada Hills teams, pushing the man over with the bunt.
A nice throw to second base by John Burnett. And the pitch to Halkovich is lifted to right field. The catch made by Roston, tagging Phobal and moving across to third in time. So 2 down. And that'll bring up left fielder Brett Behar.
Number 22, Brett Behar.
Brett Behar, 5'10", 170-pound senior, to step in against Rick Frampton. Greg Phobal off a third. Third base coach Skip Close, staying very close as the first run scored by Granada Hills on a single to right by Behar. Roston gets it back into the infield. And it's El Camino 2, Granada Hills 1.
The center fielder, number 6, Dan.
Here in the bottom of the first inning, and we'll take another look at the first tally by Granada Hills High School. Well, maybe we'll come back with it some other time, but back to live play, and the pitch to Takahashi inside for a ball, 0-1, 1-0. On deck, the pitcher, Fred Ryson.
And Takahashi, we've seen several times this year. He can hit the ball, one of several sophomores on the Highlander squad.
That one caught the corner for a strike, 1-1 the count. So both teams shown the ability tonight to go the other way with it and produce some runs. And here in the first inning, we sort of erase all the possibilities of no-hitters and shutouts and all that.
And of course, when you get to the city final game, you expect things like that from a ball club. Running the ball to push runners across, hitting the ball the opposite way, things of that nature. That's what you've got to do to get to this final game here at Dodger Stadium.
The pitch from Frampton inside for a ball. 2-1. When you look at the contest on paper, Granada Hills would have to be a big favorite. As the pitch fouled back by Takahashi. However, somehow El Camino got here, and that somehow, especially the last contest they played, a 27-run outburst against Cleveland, 28-run, and a 23-hit attack at that. They have to be doing something right. So if there's a way of gauging momentum, I think it would have to be decidedly in favor of El Camino. The count 3-2 now to Danny Takahashi.
Well, talking to Coach Stroh prior to the game again about El Camino, he says that having momentum is such an important factor when you come into a ball game like this, and obviously that's what El Camino has.
And a foul tip by Takahashi. You can hear it up here in the booth. And Frampton will be back on the hill. Frampton, as we said, on his way to the Air Force Academy, along with, I think in the first, or the top half of the inning, we noted first base coach Santi Vaca. So a couple of future Falcons. Takahashi, ground ball by Hager and into left field, digging for third. The throw, and in time, Brett Behar. No, he's out. Was that a change of call I saw there, Steve Himber, or not?
Well, I think the third base umpire wanted to make sure that Hager had control of the ball before he made the play, made the call. It looked like he was going to signal safe, but went with the thumb, and I don't think Coach Darrell Stroh and the Highlander squad were too happy about it. We'll take a look at it.
Look, there's a single to left by Takahashi. Behar will try to come to third. And okay, we got the big call, emphatically put down by third base umpire. 2-1, El Camino over Granada Hills at the end of one. We'll be back with the second inning from Dodger Stadium, the City 4A Finals, in just a moment.
some storm, it'll take a few days to clear this mess.
That's for sure. By the way, what's your boss think about you leaving work for reserve duty?
He's great. Sometimes I even leave him short-handed, but he supports the Guard and Reserve program.
The National Guard and Reserve. It's their job to protect you. It's you who protect their jobs. Your employees deserve your support.
Dodger Stadium, home of the Highlanders. Well, right now it's 2-1 El Camino, so I'm not sure if we're going to see another banner come up, but Nick Hager will lead things off for the Conquistadors. Nick, the number 8 hitter in the lineup, looks at the first offering from Fred Rice and low for a ball. It'll be Hager, followed by Mark Roston, the right fielder, and then the top of the order, and Mike Sweet, the shortstop. 2-0 the count.
You say Hager was the sports information director at El Camino?
Well, he was for one of the games that we did on KVLY against Chatsworth. Hager, a encyclopedia of knowledge on the Conquistador lineup. Even some things that I didn't want to know about. But very informative. And 4 straight balls to Hager. He'll trot down to first. So a leadoff walk to Nick Hager.
Position and playing right field.
Brings up right fielder Mark Roston.
Mark Roston.
You know, Bill, I had a chance to go down to the Conquistador locker room prior to the game, and boy, what an atmosphere down there. Talk about an intense team, and that's what this whole ball club is about, a teamwork. And Coach Maya was stressed over the entire year that his team has done what it has done, basically because everybody takes credit. It's not just one single person.
And you can see the play in the works by Granada Hills there on a pitch out to Roston.
But basically a ball club that that goes with the team concept all the way, Bill.
And not falling for it, of course, Nick Hager. Hager off the bag, the bunt laid down foul by Roston. The count at 1-1. On the previous pitch out, with the runner moving off the bag a little bit, first baseman Dave Peskin, after the pitch out, started in, and circling all the way from second behind the bag at third to take the throw was Billy Kirsten. But they did not catch Hager napping, and nice move over to first base by Fred Ryson. Roston's back in, lays that one down right out on the turf in front. Ryson goes to first in time to retire Mark Roston. But Roston does the job and moves Hager across to second. And with one down, that'll bring up the leadoff hitter, Mike Sweet.
Shortstop, Mike Sweet, number 2.
And another look at the bunt by Mark Roston. Really got that one to die, huh?
Laid it down beautifully, and of course, the kind of bunt you want to get out of a player where it leaves the pitcher absolutely no choice but to go to first base.
Mike Sweet walked and scored in the first inning. And a big inning that was, as he lifts it to the alley in left center field. That might roll to the wall. Here comes Hager to score, rounding second. And now holding there is Mike Sweet with a double to left center field. 3-1 El Camino.
Catcher, Alan Cheney.
Hager was standing out at second. Now he's being congratulated on his team by his teammates. And we're going to see this double by Sweet. A 2-bouncer to the wall. And back to live action. The first pitch to Rice and a ball. Fred a little unhappy. He wanted the home plate umpire to check with the first base ump to see if Cheney went around on the swing. The next pitch inside to Cheney, 2-0. The inning started out with a walk to Hager. Then Roston sacrificed him across to second. And then the double by Mike Sweet brought in the third run for the Conquistadors. And now Fred Ryson, who is visibly miffed, I'd say, at this time, has the count 3-0 to catcher Alan Cheney.
I don't think he was too happy with the pitch he threw to Sweet. Sweet just drove that to no man's land out between left and center field.
There's a fastball on the inside corner for a strike, and Fred's throwing about as hard as we've seen him throw. The next pitch inside, ball 4. And hustling down to first is Cheney. Alan Cheney on his way to West Point. So, 3 members of this El Camino team on their way to military academies. I think that says a little bit about the job done by Coach Mike Mayo. Not just Mike, of course, parents and teachers and such through the years, but bringing them together and taking a team that wasn't that highly publicized and yet is in the final here tonight. And a first strike to Ross Hirsch, the center fielder. Bryson at the belt, works the plate, swing and a miss by Hirsch, 0-2.
And Hirsch, of course, back in the first inning, if you recall, Bill, from the left side, pushed one past Bloomfield at the bag at third and drove in a run for the Conquistadors.
Back to Ryson. Freddie going to throw to third. In time, the force. On Mike Sweet. Cheney advances to second. And on the fielder's choice.
Designated hitter,
Ross Hirsch.
Boston, number 18.
So with 2 down, Chris Boston, the designated hitter, digging in. And there's Fred Ryson on the mound. Ground ball down to Bloomfield at third. He kicks it, takes it to the bag, and makes the put out. So 3 down for El Camino here in the top of the second, but not before they pick up a run on a couple of hits and leave 2 men on base. And at the end of an inning and a half, El Camino 3, Granada Hills 1. We'll be back with the Highlanders in the bottom of the second in just a moment.
No, Roberts, it wasn't my idea to hire you. I mean, I'm not in business to do favors. I got buildings to put up. Oh, I took you on, sure, but I never thought you'd make it. Rotten weather, back-breaking work. You know, you do good work, Roberts. Starting Monday, I know you're going to make a good foreman. All I ever needed was a chance.
Everybody deserves a chance to make it on their own, and there are things you can do to help. Write National Urban League.
3-1 El Camino over Granada Hills as we head into the bottom of the second inning here from Dodger Stadium. Fred Ryson to lead things off against Rick Frampton. And the right-hander rocks and deals. First pitch up high for a ball, 1-0 the count. On deck, Rob Tosti, the designated hitter, and then first baseman Dave Peskin for Granada. The 1-0 pitch inside for a ball by Frampton. Beautiful evening here at Dodger Stadium. I don't think you could pick a better one. Little cloud cover, but not that much. A mixture of white and blue. Ryson fakes half fakes a bunt. I can't even give it a full fake recognition on that one.
And Bill, we're getting down to the portion of the lineup for the Highlanders which has concerned Darryl Stroh throughout the year. Basically, he told us prior to the game that the top half of the lineup really has carried the offensive load for the Highlanders, and he'd like to see a little bit more production out of that bottom half, and it's got to happen tonight.
There's a fastball and a strike for Frampton. 3-1 the count to Fred Ryson here, leading things off in the bottom of the second inning. And there's ball 4, so Ryson's on with a walk. That'll bring Rob Tosti up. Tosti, the designated hitter tonight for catcher Larry Moncarch. And a shot of Mike Mayo and some concern in the El Camino dugout.
Rob Tosti.
As a matter of fact, a couple of the problems tonight have been started, and especially in the last inning when Ryson walked Hager to lead off the inning. Hager was sacrificed to second and then came around to score on that double by Mike Sweet. Frampton throws over to first. John Burnett there keeping Fred Ryson close. And Tosti hitting the side. Didn't appear to shake him up too much. Rob just raced right down to first, and Ryson heads to second. And Mike Mayo coming out of the Conquistadors dugout. Have a word with Rick Frampton.
Great opportunity now, Bill, for the Highlanders. Runners at first and second with Tosti hit by the pitch at first and the pitcher Ryson at second. Dave Peskin coming up to bat from the left-hand side, and he's got some power. So the Highlanders with an opportunity now to maybe pick up a run or two and get back into the ball game. Not out of it by any means at this point. Only 3-1 here in the bottom half of the second, but you just don't want to let things slip away.
This is what you were talking about, the bottom parts of the order not being able to drive in the runs recently, and they have a chance here. Peskin, the number 8 hitter, with nobody out and runners at first and second.
Batting number 8 position, playing first
And
base.
Mike Mayo now retreating to the dugout.
Dave Peskin.
And Peskin to step in. This is the 12th year in a row that there will be a champion in the 4A from the San Fernando Valley. Back in 1972, Venice won it. Right before the Gondoliers, who won the 3A championship tonight. In 71, it was the Monroe Vikings. So 13 out of 14 for the San Fernando Valley.
And of course, in recent years, most notably in 1982 when Cleveland won, and last year, of course, Chatsworth picking up a victory here in the final. 2 teams from the West Valley League in here as well.
Pickoff throw over to first, not in time to get Tosti. 1-1 the count to Dave Peskin. Ryson off a second, Tosti away from first, and a bunt attempt by Peskin puts the count at 1-2. Action in the El Camino bullpen, which tomorrow night will be the Dodgers bullpen. And the 1-2 pitch lifted down the left side behind the El Camino dugout, now to play. Get a different perspective up here in the booth than usually behind the backstop, which is where we are at most of the games done throughout the high school baseball schedule.
Really a luxury up here, Bill. It's fantastic.
And there we are, high atop the home plate area. Fastball up, 2-2 the count to Peskin. So Frampton walked Ryson, then hit Tosti, and now has the count at 3-2 to Dave Peskin.
And Bill, that was an awfully tough pitch for Peskin to lay off of. Could have gone either way.
Peskin back in, Frampton on top, the 3-2 pitch. Taken, ball 4. So the bases loaded for Granada Hills in the bottom of the second inning. Nobody down. And there's the bullpen for El Camino.
Batting the number 9 position, playing third base.
And Bill,
Number
some strategy
4.
here. I'm going to go out on a limb and predict that Bloomfield may just lay down a squeeze bunt. Got the bases loaded, nobody out. Bloomfield can really handle the bat very well.
We saw him do that early in the year in a game, I believe, at Monroe, and he's around a bunt and takes a strike. And the infield of El Camino, everybody's on the grass. And they're charging. It almost looks like a kickoff team coming towards the plate.
I don't know why I can't pick them like that in Vegas.
And now the corners are in. Second and shorter back. And Bloomfield takes the ball, 1-1. I believe the right-hander in the bullpen for El Camino is Rod Sheneman, number 22. We saw him pitch in the regular season ender at Chatsworth. Bloomfield around a bunt and does. It's foul, and it's off the foot of catcher Alan Cheney. And Fred Ryson, it's off the hand of Cheney, I believe, as he comes over to the Conquistador dugout. Mike Mayo to take a look at it, and they put some ice on it right away. And either hand, that might do it for Cheney tonight, and especially if you're applying ice at this time.
It's kind of smart. You could see right at the end of the play, he kind of looked up and grimaced.
Might
Thought he was looking for the ball, but
dislocated it the way he came running over like that with it cupped. I saw Mike Mayo tugging at it a little bit, and some concern by the fans behind the dugout.
And folks, if you've never experienced anything like a dislocated finger, I can assure you that although a break sounds much worse, the pain you feel when it's dislocated or sprained just doesn't compare.
Well, he appears to be okay, or at least running on some toughness here. There's Rich Frampton through 31 pitches. One inning of work so far, and he's just below the 500 mark on the ratio of strikes to balls. So to say the least, Frampton has not fooled them. Rich has the bases loaded and a 1-2 count to the number 9 hitter in the order, Joey Bloomfield. And Cheney taking a look at that right claw of his, and he's ready to go.
You know, Bill, I think it's going to take something a lot worse than what he just went through to get him out of this championship game.
Once again, the corner's in for El Camino. Bloomfield with 2 strikes against him. Asked for time. Should be swinging on this, but you never know Darryl Stroh. That's why this is his 5th time or looking at least for his 5th title here tonight in the City 4A. And a swing and a miss by Bloomfield. So a big out for Frampton. Now the infield can play for the double play. They can get out of the inning without a run being scored. But I'm sure Greg Falvey would like something to say about that. Falvey walked to start the bottom of the 1st. And he fouls that one back over the screen. Got a hold of somebody down there. There you have it, 3rd. It's Ryson. Out at second base, Rob Tosti. And Dave Peskin away from first. 0-1 the count to Greg Falvey. One and one. Was that last one a foul ball by Falvey? You get those every once in a while. I butcher them, of course. The 1-1 pitch through the left side. And here comes Ryson to score. They're going to hold Tosti at third, and the throw off the mark by Jeff Brunson in left. And it's 3-2. El Camino on a run-scoring single by shortstop Greg Falwell. There's Greg over at first base, being congratulated by first base coach El Fortman. L, E-L-L. I believe short for Ellsworth. And another look at this RBI single by Falwell. Mike Sweet, a game effort diving it short, couldn't quite get it. And the pitch inside to second baseman Billy Kirsten. On deck, right fielder Frank Halkovich. The next pitch inside, 2-0 the count. The inning started. Ryson walked. Tosti was hit by a pitch. And then Peskin got aboard, and that one lifted high to left field. Coming in, Brunson tagging will be Tosti. The throw is semi-cut off, but coming in to score and tie things up is Tosti, as Peskin takes third, and moving to second was Greg Fobel. Fobel giving him something to yell about over in the Granada Hills side. We'll take another look at it. Poor execution by El Camino. I think they might have had a play at the plate. Brunson makes the grab. And on the throw-in, the relay just deflected the ball, slowed it up, actually. If he would have caught it and come to the plate or let it go through, the ball would have arrived much earlier than that.
And now Granada with a great opportunity to cash in on this bonanza here in the bottom half of the second inning. Their power hitter, Frank Halkovich, in there with runners at second and third.
And a 2-0 count now to Halkovich, and believe me, Frank would love to redeem himself a little bit for that first inning. He started the game for Granada Hills and gave up 2 runs in the first inning. Frank takes a look at ball 3. See if they give him the hit sign here. With 2 down, on deck, left fielder Brett Behar. The 3-0 pitch to Halkovich. Ball 4. And Mike Mile coming out of the dugout. This might be it for Frampton. Looking out to the bullpen. I'm not sure if the phone hookup is being employed tonight. We're going to go for a break. It's 3-3. El Camino and Granada Hills, 2 out here in the bottom of the second inning. There'll be a pitching change, and we'll be back.
I'm Arthur Ashe, National Campaign Chairman for the American Heart Association. When I had my heart attack, doctors used a cardiac catheter to pinpoint the problem areas in the blood vessels to my heart. These pictures show where arteries are injured and where blood flow is blocked. Your support of the American Heart Association helps to bring these pictures into focus, to answer some of the mysteries of heart disease in people like me. With your help, we're fighting for your life.
Back at Dodger Stadium, there's the book on Rich Frampton. 1 2/3 innings, 3 runs, 3 hits, 4 walks, and 1 strikeout, and a heck of a lot of pitches thrown by the youngster here at Dodger Stadium. The 4A finals. Drew Ricker is now into the game. Number 23 on the mound for El Camino, and his first pitch to Brett Behar, low for a ball, 1-0 the count. On at third base is Dave Peskin. Over at second is Greg Falwell, and at first, Frank Halkovich, who just walked. 2-0 the count. There's Big Frank, who wishes he could have had a chance to swing at one. 4 straight balls to him. Pitch by Ricker. He bends one inside. 3-0 the count. Ricker, a little pressure on him. He's fairly used to it. He won the last contest for El Camino. Went all 7 innings. And there's a strike.
Gave up only 5 hits to that Cleveland team in the last ball game. Has his record at 7-2 and is really the stopper for the El Camino Ball Club at this point.
Frampton in just an inning and 2/3 threw 42 pitches. And there's another strike. So Ricker now has the count at 3-2 to Brett Bihar. 2 down here in the bottom of the second inning. Tie score, El Camino and Granada. The bases are full for the Highlanders. That one, a comebacker over the mound, up with it sweet. The throw to first in time. And with that out at first, the score will remain tied at the end of 2 innings. El Camino and Granada will take another look at a nice play by El Camino shortstop Mike Sweet.
Bihar chops it over the mound. Sweet coming up the middle, misses the bag at second, but on to first in time for the out to end the inning.
And a pretty good one so far, 3-3. The Conquistadors and the Highlanders will be back with El Camino, Jeff Brunson, John Burnett, and Trent Crosby in the top of the 3rd.
You're watching KVLY, Channel 3.
The Stars and Stripes from Chavez Ravine. And you can see they didn't sell a great number of tickets to either of the pavilions out there either. The first pitch, a swing and a miss by the leadoff hitter here in the 3rd inning, Jeff Brunson. And the left fielder takes one in the dirt. 1-1 the count. Larry Monkarsh behind the plate. I kind of feel for Larry a little bit. I mean, he has to be the catcher as that one lifted down the right side behind the Granada Hills dugout. Now to play. One of the ushers makes the grab on it and will now be assaulted by a Granada Hills fan. And there, it's not 56,505 tonight, I don't believe.
I'd say minus the 50.
Yeah, a little bit more than that. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe you're right. The 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed by Brunson. The first strikeout by Fred Ryson. 1 down here in the top of the 3rd inning.
First baseman.
And it does give you a different perspective of Dodger Stadium as we sit up here. Most of the times that you're in this structure, there's at least 40,000 other people along with you. Feel a little bit privileged tonight. Oh, 0-1 the count to first baseman John Burnett. Fred Ryson rocks and deals, and there's strike 2. The call by home plate umpire Larry Obar. And the coaching staff of Granada Hills, Darrell Stroh down in the bottom right side of that pyramid. In the bottom left, Tim Collins. 1-2 the count to Burnett. John one of, if not the only left-hand hitter in the lineup, and he rips out one in fair territory down into the corner. He's digging for second. Halkovich up with it. The throw, not in time. A double by John Burnett. And John not afraid of giving himself a little hand out at second base.
Second baseman,
Burnett digging in from the left side, rips it down the right field line. Halkovich up with it. And watch this throw, folks. Burnett digging into second, but foul ball tagging him just a little late. And Burnett standing at second with his second double of the ball game.
Burnett had just enough gas on that slide to get there. I mean, I don't think he could have slid more than another 3-4 inches. And a good effort by Dave Peskin at first, diving for that one. The pitch fouled back by Trent Crosby. Crosby has an older brother that played at El Camino last year and is at the University of Hawaii playing for the Rainbows. Trent lifts one down to short. Foul ball, can't make the play on it, and everybody's safe. Crosby being congratulated by first base coach Santi Vaca and informed that there's one out. And an error charge to shortstop Greg Foulball. Another look at it. Foulball coming in. A tough play, but a play that Greg usually makes. And Nick Hager fouls back the first offering from Ryson.
And don't be surprised if the Conquistadors send Crosby down to second sometime over the next pitch or so. That would make it runners at second and third. Could even see a hit and run coming here with Hager, who is skilled at the bat, to say the least.
The throw to first, and they got him picked off. So Crosby was leaning. You could see that desperation that he's been found out.
And you can cancel the steal or any possibility of a steal or hit and run that quick.
Hager takes the next pitch for a ball. 1-1 the count. Talking about the University of Hawaii and the Rainbows program, Les Murakami in baseball and Dick Toomey in football. That is an outstanding place to go if you are a college athlete, because you are the only game in town. And they have done a lot construction-wise in the baseball sphere of things. Rainbow Stadium. Fastball inside to Hager, puts the count at 3-1. I was there right around New Year's time, and they had a very nice structure and were building to it then. And the amount of playing fields and other surfaces that they have there for athletics as Hager fouls that one back. So have I given my pitch for the University of Hawaii or not?
And I think over the years, Bill, the University of Hawaii has had a fairly respectable program, most notably in baseball.
The 3-2 pitch to Hager, bounce down to third. Bloomfield gonna have to hurry the throw in time to retire Nick Hager and El Camino here in the top of the third inning. For El Camino, no runs. One man left on base, and we head to the bottom of the third, 3-3. El Camino and Granada Hills. We'll be back after this break.
I'm Arthur Ashe, National Campaign Chairman for the American Heart Association. Undetected high blood pressure is a threat to your heart and to your life. Once discovered, however, it usually can be controlled. For you, the solution is simple. Get your blood pressure checked regularly and follow your doctor's prescribed treatment. The solution for better understanding of this disease is research. So give to the American Heart Association. We're fighting for your life.
Dan Takahashi to lead things off for Granada Hills here in the bottom of the third inning, and he takes a strike from left-hander Drew Ricker. The next pitch lifted behind the Granada Hills dugout, actually on the roof of it. You should have seen the green and white scatter in the dugout. Everybody's out on the front steps, but when that ball came flying over, they headed for the hills.
You know, Bill, we mentioned earlier that the catcher has a lot of territory to cover here in Dodger Stadium, but what about the extended foul area here? A lot different than what most of these players are used to during the regular season.
And Takahashi grounds one to short. Mike Sweet grabs it. The throw's going to be high and into the dugout, and Takahashi will have himself an extra base. I could sense as the ground ball went to Sweet that he was going to have to come up with a strong throw to get the speedy Dan Takahashi. And he came up with an extremely strong throw.
You can see here why Coach Darryl Stroh is so high on sophomore Takahashi, really burning down the first baseline. And I think it would have taken an awfully good throw on the part of Mike Sweet to nail him at first. Nevertheless, Danny Takahashi on at second on the error by Sweet. Nobody out here in the bottom of the third inning, and that'll bring up the pitcher, Fred Ryson.
Fred Ryson, number 32.
So Ryson with a chance to help his cause. Ryson, I believe, walked last time up. That was to lead off the second inning. Fred puts a bunt up the third base line. And coming across is Hager to bring it back to play.
And again, Bill, in this matchup between Ryson and Drew Ricker, pitcher versus pitcher, and both left-handers, always interesting to me to watch the strategy of a left-handed batter versus a left-handed pitcher. It's got to be tough swinging at the ball from that perspective.
The corners are in. The pitch to Ryson, low for a ball. And once again, Cheney's hopping back there. You could put a lot of protective equipment on Alan Cheney, but that baseball still seems to find him wherever he goes. One and one the count. Here's the pitch. Ryson slices it down the left side behind the Conquistador dugout. And 1-2. On deck, Rob Tosti to be followed by Dave Peskin. That one ripped to right field. Going back is Roston. Draws a beat on it, makes the grab, and the throw strong into the infield. And a tough out for Fred Ryson. And Fred,
number 30.
not too happy with that one, but he hit the ball very well for out number 2 here as Bob Tosti steps in.
And if you're wondering why Danny Takahashi didn't tag on the play and move over to third, Mark Roston got a great jump on the ball, and Takahashi, already leaning toward third base, had to come back to the bag in order to beat the throw. Great play out in right field by Mark Roston.
And now Tosti to step in. There seems to be a little discussion amongst the officials of the contest tonight. Now I think everything's cleared up as Ricker's first pitch, down low for a ball, 1-0. This game started right on time, so we're about an hour and 10 minutes old. That one lifted down the first base side, And over the auxiliary scoreboard, bouncing around some empty seats. But a couple of Highlanders fans trying to find it still.
Number 23, Drew Ricker, on the hill for El Camino. Tosti, of course, his last time at bat, Bill, you'll remember, came around to bunt, but didn't make it. He was hit by the pitch and leaned right into it and was awarded first base, of course, on the play.
The El Camino dugout, the pitch to Tosti. Gets away from catcher Cheney, throws down to third base, not in time. It bounced away from Allen, actually to his advantage as it went towards third base. When he retrieved it, however, Takahashi had such a good jump. There was no way he could get him, so Danny's on safely at third with one down here in the bottom of the third inning. Tosti in, a 2-1 count to Rob. Ricker's pitch, ground ball down to short. The run's going to score. Sweet's throw to first is strong and true. Takahashi crosses the plate, making it 4-3 Granada Hills. And with two down, that'll bring up first baseman Dave Peskin.
Dave Peskin, number 24.
Peskin walked his last trip to the plate. And Peskin rips one over Sweet's head and into left field. So a solid single to left by Dave Peskin. And he gets congratulations from first base coach Al Fortman.
And Bill, at this juncture of the ball game, Darryl Stroh's got to be awfully happy with the bottom part of that lineup. We stressed it earlier, and so far through 3 innings, they have produced.
Bloomfield last time up struck out with the bases loaded. I really didn't get a fair shot at it. He was asked to bunt early on the first 2 times, had 2 strikes on him, and then he only has 1 cut to work with. He didn't get it, but there's the one he's been waiting for as he strokes a single to left. Brunson up with it, gets the ball back into the infield to Mike Sweet. And a late order rally of sorts by Granada Hills as the number 8 and 9 hitters, Peskin and Bloomfield, with singles to left. Another look at that single by the number 9 hitter, Bloomfield. And now Falbo goes and fouls it back behind Granada Hills dugout. 0-1. 4-3, Granada over El Camino here in the bottom of the third inning. 2 down. Drew Ricker on the mound, staring in at Alan Cheney. The 0-1 pitch outside for a ball, 1-1 the count. Peskin at second. Bloomfield at first. Hager behind the bag at third, and that's where he'll watch the ball go into left field. Brunson up with it, the throw to the plate is in time, and they got Dave Peskin on a throw from Jeff Brunson on the line to the plate, and catcher Alan Cheney applied the tag. And another look at it, a big play for El Camino here in the bottom of the third inning. The single to left by Falbo. Brunson comes up with it. You see Peskin had a pretty good lead, and a good job at the plate by Cheney to keep that left foot out and sort of detour the slide of Dave Peskin. 4-3 El Camino. Granada Hills over El Camino at the end of 3. We'll be back with the 4th inning from Dodger Stadium after this.
Judy Lafferty is very careful. She checks each part of her bike before a race. She checks her body, too, on a regular schedule. A few years ago, she found a breast cancer. But these days, 85% of early breast cancers can be cured. How long since you checked yourself? We're gaining in the fight against cancer. Judy's living proof. Share the cost of living. Give to the American Cancer Society.
The scoreboard here at Dodger Stadium has Granada Hills out in front of El Camino.
Right fielder, Mark
And
Boston, number 17.
from Vinny, Jerry, and Ross's little nest up here behind home plate, Bill Seward along with Steve Himber. And Mark Roston takes a look at ball one to lead things off for the Conquistadors here in the top of the fourth inning. Fred Ryson's next pitch in there for a strike, 1-1. And once again, it was the strong throw of Jeff Brunson in the bottom of the third that kept this one close, because if Peskin hadn't been thrown out, as we take a look at the stats of the Highlanders pitching arm so far, and they'll be moved up another notch on that strikeout by Ryson.
Shortstop,
As Roston heads back
number 2.
to the dugout. One down, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Mike Sweet. I was going to say, if Peskin wasn't out at the plate, who knows how long that inning would have gone on for Granada Hills. They would have had the number 2 hitter up then in Billy Kirsten, and runners probably at second and third. So Fred Ryson might be finding the groove here as he leads things off with a strikeout to open the fourth. Sweet. Big cut at a fastball, 2-1 the count. Sweet to be followed by Alan Cheney. And then Ross Hirsch, and there's Mike Mayo and his Conquistadors in their dugout. Sweet went after a high fastball, and there's action in the bullpen for El Camino. A right-hander down there might be Rod Sheneman. We saw Sheneman pitch against Chatsworth. Check swing, foul by Sweet. And that is the bullpen, and if it's number 22, and it looks to be Big Rod Sheneman. Sheneman 6'2", 180-pounder. And Sweet gets that one and drives it to the alley in left center, giving chases. Bihar is going to go to the wall again. So an instant replay of Mike Sweet's double earlier in the contest.
He's picked his spot. There's no question about it. Ripped that one again.
And we'll take another look.
Number 1.
On a 2-strike pitch. Sweet getting a bull cut on that one. Didn't quite make it to the wall, but to the warning track. And with one down, Sweet's on at second, and Alan Cheney up at the plate. Cheney takes a look at ball one. 4-3, Granada Hills with the lead here in the top of the fourth inning. The City 4A Baseball Finals from Dodger Stadium. Bill Seward along with Steve Himber. 2-0 the count to Alan Cheney. Fred Ryson on the mound, and now Darryl Stroh wants to come out and have a word or two. If Fred Ryson can't do it, I'm not sure who else he has available. Larry Monkarsh behind the plate. The infield still of Peskin, Kirsten, Foulable, and Bloomfield. And in 3 1/3 innings, Highlander pitching giving up 6 hits while striking out and walking 3.
That, of course, a combination of the starting pitcher, Frank Halkovich, who gave up 2 runs in the first inning, and then Ryson came on in relief.
And Frank out in right field right now. And that's where that pitch is hit. Halkovich coming over to make the grab. Sweet retreats back to second base. 2 down for El Camino. And center fielder Ross Hurst to step in. That's on deck hitter Chris Barson. Dan Takahashi in center field. Brett Bihar, who started, is still in left for Granada Hills, and Rod Sheneman in the bullpen for El Camino as he's picked up the pace a little bit on the warm-up. And the pitch by Ryson outside for a ball as Hurst was running up to bunt, or at least giving that impression.
Hurst steps up for the 3rd time in this ball game. His last time up on at first on a fielder's choice. Singled, drove in a run, and later scored back in the 1st inning.
Swing and a miss at a fastball by Hurst. 1-1 the count. And a little less of a cut. Ryson comes in. Fred has the count at 1-2 to Ross Hurst. 2 down. Sweet off a second. Curveball outside, 2-2. Ryson appears tonight to just be more effective, laying that heat right across the plate. That one lifted to center field. Takahashi coming in. Makes the catch for out number 3. And El Camino is done here at the top of the 4th inning. 4-3. Granada Hills over El Camino. We'll be back with more action after this.
Okay, now do it by yourself. Okay, great. Okay, now I'm going to let you hold it since you're in the middle. And you're going to go for it, okay?
Can we get this? You're watching KVLY3.
Dodger Stadium here in Chavez Ravine. 4-3. Granada Hills with the lead. The City 4A baseball finals. Bill Kirsten will lead things off for Granada Hills here in the bottom of the 4th inning, followed by Frank Halkovich and then Brett Bihar. Drew Ricker's first pitch in there for a strike. Larry Obar behind the plate. The base umpires at first, Bob Messina, Steve Strimling at second, and Rudy Ramirez at third. And the count 1-1 to Billy Kirsten. Kirsten squares that bat to bunt, takes a look at a ball, 2-1. And now the beach ball comes out among the fans behind the El Camino dugout. The 2-1 pitch outside, 3-1 the count. And there's ball 4 to Kirsten to lead off the 4th inning. And I'm sure not what Drew Ricker or manager Mike Mayo wanted to have happen here in the 4th. especially with Frank Halkovich stepping in. Halkovich tonight, he walked, I believe, last time up. Halkovich squared to bunt, and we'll see if there'll be some interference called by home plate umpire Larry Obar. Halkovich leaning across the plate to bunt, but Cheney couldn't quite get the throw off. And Allen a little unhappy with that as a steal credited to Billy Kirsten. The throw down to second only got back to Drew Ricker at the plate. That one gets away from Cheney, and he races out in front to retrieve. Alan Cheney behind the plate, 5'9", 150-pound senior. Not the biggest catcher, but certainly one with a lot of heart as Halkovich pops out to right field. Roston with the catch and the throw into shortstop Mike Sweet.
Number 22.
So with one down, left fielder Brett Behar comes up. Brett with a single earlier and an RBI. Drew Ricker at the belt. Checks the runner, works the plate for a ball. The 1-0 pitch, outside, 2-0. Granada Hills defeated Canoga Park, Kennedy, and then Banning to reach the finals. The next one outside, 3-0 the count, while El Camino knocked off Narbonne Poly, and then one of the stronger teams in the San Fernando Valley, Cleveland. It just was not Cleveland's day. John LaRosa started for them and was removed in the first inning. The Cavaliers gave up 4 runs. And Poly was the number 1 seed, Cleveland the number 3 seed. Poly had an incredible year and was favored to be one of the contestants here tonight. As Ricker steps off. That Cleveland game, if we haven't said it enough, 28-7. This El Camino team won. And El Camino 8-7 and a 3rd place finish in the West Valley League. There's one fouled up the right side. And rolling around, you could probably try to find it. Little rat in a maze. And a couple of the Highlanders' youthful followers in search of historic baseball. 3-2 the count. Behar lifts one to left center, coming across in a hurry. Can't make the grab as Hirsch. Sweet picks it up, and he'll run it back in on a single to left center field by Brett Behar. Another look at it.
Behar lifts it
Number 6.
into shallow left center field. Hirsch just couldn't get there in time, and of course Kirsten has to hold at second base as he waited to see if Hirsch could come up with the ball. Only 1 out, of course. Had it been 2 outs, would have been around third, possibly even scored on the play.
And so with 1 down and runners at first and second, Danny Takahashi, the 5th hitter in the lineup, rips one foul and into the corner. And wishing he could get that one just inside the bag. If he did, it was at least a run, and very probably 2. On deck, the pitcher, Fred Ryson. Four to 3, Granada Hills over El Camino. Slow curve. 1-1. That one into the alley in right center field is going to drop and go to the wall. Coming around to score is Kirsten. They're going to send Bihar, and the throw down to second, not in time, on a double to right center field by Dan Takahashi. 6-3, Granada Hills. And the green and white is in a little bit of a frenzy behind the dugout of the Highlanders. And another look at the double by Takahashi.
Number 32.
Giving chase into the corners, Roston and center fielder Ross Hirsch. And coming across the plate, Kirsten, then Bihar, and Bihar going into the Keystone Cop run. And the frenzy of high fives. Granada with a 6-3 lead as Ryson takes one on the outside corner for a strike.
And the Highlanders showing us all why they've been to this championship game so many times. Started off a little slow, down 2-0 through the first half of the first inning. Came back and scored a run at least in every inning thus far.
Granada looks like it's working on some kind of match set. 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth. And we're not out of the fourth yet with 1 down. Takahashi off second. Ground ball down to Crosby at second. Trent kicks it. And everybody's safe at the corners. Takahashi at third. Ryson will be at first. So an error charge to Crosby.
Number 30.
Still 1 down.
And you know, Bill, a lot of folks will look at that play, as we'll take a look at it.
Rob Tosti to step in.
There's that last play. And Crosby just couldn't handle it, but you've got to remember this is Dodger Stadium and it's a championship ball game, and those easy plays become just a little bit tougher.
That ball got there pretty quick, too. Hard to judge those bounces when they handcuff you like that. And Rod Sheneman in that Conquistador bullpen out in left field. We might see him soon, especially if Drew Ricker can't get himself out of this jam. He's got an 0-1 count to Tosti. Tosti lines one into left. Takahashi comes in to score. Ryson to third. They'll hold him there on a double to left by designated hitter Rob Tosti. 7-3 Granada Hills over El Camino. And it's no fluke so far. Granada Hills has been hammering the ball. They have 9 hits already here in the bottom of the fourth. And Mike Mayo out to the hill. Have a word with Drew Ricker and a couple of the teammates of Drew's.
And the tables have certainly turned in this ball game, huh, Bill?
They have. El Camino picked up its 2 in the first, then 1 in the second, and since then have been held very quietly by the man standing on third base, Fred Ryson. Now Dave Peskin to step in. Dave singled the left field last time up. Takes a look at ball one. Rice in at third. Tosti at second. And Dave Peskin at the plate. Ricker's pitch is lifted on the infield. Shortstop Mike Sweet makes the grab for out number 2. So that one was tailor-made for El Camino for out number 2.
Number 4.
And with 2 down, that'll bring up the 9th hitter in the lineup, Joey Bloomfield. Bloomfield struck out first time with the bases loaded. And then in the 3rd inning, singled sharply to left field. And that one down to Sweet. Long throw to first, and not out of the glove of John Burnett. And it rolls away, and in come 2 more runs for El Camino. There's Ryson and Tosti. And standing at second is Joey Bloomfield. And the error charged to shortstop Mike Sweet. His second this evening. And the 3rd error charged to the Conquistadors.
Take a look at it. Sweet just letting it fly a little bit too much. Burnett couldn't come up with the ball, made a gallant effort to jump. Had a big vertical leap on that one, but it wasn't to be. 2 more runs pushed across for the Highlanders, Bill.
It would have been a close play with a good throw, too, with Bloomfield moving very well up that line. And now Bill Kirsten lifts one foul behind his own dugout. I'm sorry, it's Greg Falble. That's the last time I'll ever trust the graphics. 1-1 the count. Big curve outside, 2-1. I'm forecasting Kirsten being up as Falble down to Hager at third. It bounces off Nick. And I guess it'll come true that Kirsten will advance to the bat. And an error will be charged to Nick Hager at third. That's the 4th team error for El Camino. And you can see the 4th inning for Granada. A big one. And it could be bigger here as Kirsten steps in. Ricker's pitch inside, the throw down. I was going to say have the runner trapped off at first, but Crosby held the ball and didn't try to make a play. To Falble, sliding back at first base. Oh, and 1 the count to Kirsten. Falble at first. Bloomfield at third. Ricker looks in at Alan Cheney, gets a sign out the belt, works the plate. The runner goes. The ball lifted behind first, and going out and dropping, it's John Burnett. Bloomfield comes in to score run number 10. And a tough play on Burnett. He originally started a little more towards second base than he wanted to, then had to curl back and try to catch it over his right shoulder. And we have another look at it. In the process, too, John also a little leap in the air for added effect. And so with 2 down,
Number 40.
and runners still at the corners, Frank Halkovich. The runner goes, and Halkovich fouls it back behind the plate.
And the Conquistadors really a victim of their own mistakes at this point. Obviously, 5 errors through only 4 innings of play, not even 3 2/3. If it weren't for a couple of those errors, they'd be right back in this ball game. Don't count them out yet, folks. They can explode at the bat.
This is the same team that scored 28 runs on 23 hits against Cleveland. I believe they had 9 runs in 1 inning, didn't they? 10 runs in the 3rd inning. I stand corrected. Another pitch out. 2-1 the count. The pitch out just to see what kind of action they'll get off first, and Billy Kirsten. The other thing is, if I was a pitcher, I would probably pitch out a little bit against a guy like Frank Halkovich. Frank fouls it back, evening the count at 2-2. For some reason, I hear a ticking up here, and I think it's Frank Halkovich. And it might be time for Frank.
Well, as we said, had a rough go of it at the mound to begin the game. And, of course, he can play some decent right field. We've seen him come up with a couple of good grabs out there. And hefty at the plate. And I mean with the bat.
The throw down to second is in time as Mike Sweet makes the grab and applies the tag to Bill Kirsten. And we'll take another look at it. It was a bang play. He had to put it down to the bag as quick as he got it, and Sweet was up to the task. The throw by Cheney. You saw it there, and the call by Steve Strimling. But a big inning for Granada Hills. They pick up 6 runs and go ahead 10-3 over El Camino. We'll be back with the top of the 5th from Dodger Stadium after this.
Alcohol burns in more ways than one. Excessive drinking burns American business to the tune of $54 billion a year. But often an employer can provide referral to alcoholism counselors when job performance slips. Employer intervention can save lives and careers and makes good business sense. This message is from the Will Rogers Institute, White Plains, New York.
Top of the 5th inning here from Dodger Stadium. Bill Seward along with Steve Himber. And the palm trees. And the parking lot. And the red sickle ball with the blue 76 on it. What does that mean, Steve? We haven't been able to say it tonight. We haven't given the $50 book to anybody. And I'm not sure what that is, but that one's a picture of Fred Ryson down the first base line. Got a little dirt in the shoe. Home plate umpire Larry Obar. Manager Darrell Stroh. Well, Larry says, "I've had enough." Walks away. Darrell goes the distance. And now we'll lend a hand. 10-3, Granada Hills over El Camino. The City 4A final. And now Ryson's ready to get back in there, and some of the fans behind the Conquistador dugout. And those are some of the fans behind the Highlander dugout. And that is Fred Ryson and Chris Bosson. And the first pitch to Chris, low for a ball, 1-0. On deck, Jeff Brunson, to be followed by John Burnett. That one lifted behind the Highlander dugout, now to play. I guess that's a little repetitive. Behind the dugout, now to play.
Chris Bosson, a 5'10", 170-pound junior, DHing tonight, but a versatile player, can play third base as well. Tonight, 0 for 2.
Granada Hills 10 runs, 9 hits, and 1 error. There's strike 2 on Boston. El Camino 3 runs on 6 hits. And a very telling stat, 5 errors. And there's strike 3 taken by Boston. And out number 1 here in the top of the 5th inning. Fred Ryson. Strikeout.
Number 14.
Number 3. Jeff Brunson steps in. Takes a look at the strike. Ryson working rather quickly here. Can't quite break the curve. And a look at Granada Hills, who has to be happy so far. A 7-run lead here in the 5th inning, and a swing and a miss by Brunson. Granada Hills came into this game at 17-3-1. And the first place team in the Mid-Valley League. Brunson. Bloomfield, the throw in time. A nice play by Joey Bloomfield. He cut across in front of Greg Falble and rifled it across to Dave Peskin at first to get Jeff Brunson. We'll take another look at it, and I don't think Falble would have had as good a play on it as Bloomfield. And Joey taking command there. So 2 down for El Camino. And first baseman John Burnett to step in. Burnett had that tough catch, or lack of a catch, in the bottom of the 4th inning that brought across another run. Brunson has the count at 1-1. There's one to left field, a single rolling in the mid of Bihar, and Brunson happily on at first base. And this is what El Camino has to do to get things going. They're not going to blast too many out of the park here at Dodger Stadium, but get base runners, and they have one on that single by John Burnett.
He drilled that one into left field from the left side. And he's 3 for 3 tonight, 2 doubles and a single.
And we have a running change down at first. The first base coach, Santi Vaca, will come in and run for John Burnett. Burnett now becomes the first base coach.
Heard of players going from the field into coaching, but never at that rapid a pace, Bill. How about you?
Well, that's pretty quick. Lou Boudreau. Who else? Frank Robinson did it a couple years back, didn't he, with Cleveland? And Crosby lifts one down the first baseline, foul by a couple of feet into the corner. I've seen managers that have left the field much quicker, and the organization for that matter. Steve Boros a couple days ago. What, 45 minutes after a victory? Well, let the guys celebrate a little bit and then send them bye-bye. Hey, Steve, congratulations, you're fired. The Oakland A's. From champs to chumps. The roller coaster of the American League West. Donna Metz down the third base line, high atop. What, level number 4? Those are the general admission or reserve seats? Reserve seats. That's right, the general admission are right above us where they pass out those little oxygen masks for everybody. They stamp a junior astronaut on your forehead, too. Haven't been up there in a long time. Used to sit up there and wait for Al Ferrari to hit foul balls as Crosby hits a single to center field. Vaca will stop at second. I'm not sure how many of the viewers remember Al Ferrara, but this will tell you about the modern American hero. Guy was my idol. And another look at the single to center by Crosby. Pat Quinn high atop the stadium here down the first base line on the camera. Nick Hager in with 2 down, runners at first and second. Takes the pitch inside, 1-1 the count. A lot of memories in the old ballpark here, Steve, and she's one of them. Just kidding. And a throw to second, and back in time is Vaca. Santi Vaca off a second. Ryson's pitch to Hager. Fouled back into the screen. 1-2. Yeah, there's Mike Mayo and the El Camino dugout.
Hager so far showing no signs of that injury he suffered back in the first inning. Come back strong, made some good throws behind the plate.
The next pitch down low for a ball, and everybody on the Granada Hills side trying to get home plate umpire Larry Obar to appeal to first base umpire Bob Messina on the swing. But Larry says, no, I saw it, and we'll keep the count at 2-2. Ryson, that one popped up on the right side. Coming in is Halkovich, and Frank makes the grab for out number 3. So El Camino gets a couple of hits, but not much more here in the top of the 5th inning, and the score 10-3. Granada over El Camino. When we come back in the bottom of the inning, it'll be Frank Halkovich, Brett Bihar, and Dan Takahashi for the Highlanders. We'll be back after this.
You're watching KVLY, Channel 3.
Frank Halkovich to lead things off against Drew Ricker. There's a look at the Conquistadors so far this evening on the hill. Given up 10 runs, 9 hits. Only struck out 1 while walking 5. And the first pitch to Halkovich in there for a strike. A change defensively for El Camino. Brian Pogue into the game at first, wearing number 33. A ground ball to the right side by Crosby and into right field. And Mark Roston up with it to get it back in. Halkovich almost looked like he crossed up Trent Crosby out at second base, got him going one way, and then slapped the ball the other.
Behar, number 22.
And a little activity in the Granada Hills bullpen. Brett Behar now about ready to step in as Darrell Stroll bringing a pinch runner. Looks to be Andy Zakanich, number 14. Zakanich, a senior, 5'8", 160-pounder. And the kid's got wheels. And he'll come in at first to run for Frank Halkovich. So a couple guys down at first that are fairly new to the contest. First baseman Brian Pogue, who just came in at the top of the inning. And Zakanich, first name Andy, in to run for Frank Halkovich. And Drew Ricker throws over to keep him close.
And in Brett Bihar at the plate for the Highlanders, 2 for 3 tonight, 6 for 10 coming in tournament action.
That one back through the box and into center field. And Zakanich around second and hold there as Ross Hirsch runs it back to the infield. Hit number 11 for Granada Hills. And with runners on at first and second,
Center fielder,
that'll bring up Dan Takahashi.
number 6.
Takahashi has been instrumental, as you see, 2 for 3 tonight. A double last time up with 2 RBIs. And Granada Hills on the verge of scoring in their 5th consecutive inning. And it looks like a little bit going on down in the El Camino bullpen too. Right-hander Rod Sheneman back up and throwing. I said back up and throwing. One and one the count to Danny Takahashi. That one gets away from Cheney. The runners are going to advance. The throw down to third, not in time. The tag applied by Hager on Zakanich. And Zakanich on safely at the corner. There's Sheneman out in the bullpen. Sheneman also a quarterback on the Conquistador football team. Bihar off a second, Zakanich down the line from third. And the 2-1 pitch to Takahashi waved at and missed. 2-2. On deck, pitcher Fred Bryson. That pitch bounced in the dirt. The count now full to Takahashi. And it looks like almost a case of the rich getting richer here. 10-3, Granada over El Camino. Runners at second and third and a full count to Dan Takahashi. Ricker at the belt. Takahashi gets a hold of that one and sends it to left field. Giving chase is Jeff Brunson. It's going to go to the wall. 2 runs will score. Brunson plays it off the bullpen gate. Takahashi rounds second, and he'll hold there with a double. And a 12-3 Granada Hills lead. Dan Takahashi, 3 for 4 tonight with 4 RBIs. And Mike Mayo out from the dugout, and I think that'll just about do it for Drew Ricker.
Watch Takahashi take this one deep into left field, just a couple feet short of the warning track. No chance on that one. 2-run score for the Highlanders. We saw Takahashi drill one into right center field his last time up. 2 doubles in a row, 4 RBIs for the sophomore. And the fireworks continue for Granada Hills as they lead 12-3.
And Rod Sheneman, who's been up quite a few times tonight in the bullpen, has his chance to come in now. He's almost pitched a complete game in the pen. 12-3, Granada Hills over El Camino. And we'll be back with more action here in the bottom of the 5th inning from Dodger Stadium, the city.
The biggest decision a young person makes about alcohol isn't what to drink. It's how to deal with the choices. You can drink safely and moderately. You can let alcohol hurt you, or you can choose not to drink at all. It's up to you. But learn the facts. It's only fair to give yourself a chance to think before you drink. This booklet has some important information. For a free copy, write the Will Rogers Institute, White Plains, New York.
12-3 the score here from Dodger Stadium. Granada Hills, a pitching change. Rod Sheneman into the contest. Rod has been working all sorts down in that bullpen in left field. And now Rod with a chance to let him know he's warm and he's ready to throw. We saw Rod in the season ender at Chatsworth High School. And he threw fairly well for a couple innings, and I'm sure that's all he's going to be asked to do tonight unless there can be some type of prodigious rally by El Camino. They're down by 9 with nobody out. And a runner at second base, Dan Takahashi. And Fred Ryson in to try to up the score a little more. Rod Sheneman on the mound, 6'2", 180-pounder, and the senior's first pitch. Outside for a ball, 1-0 the count. The next pitch off the mark, 2-0.
And the question at this point is, does it ever stop for Granada? El Camino probably now starting to realize what they put Cleveland through the other day, although not quite as astronomical at this point.
And now the count 3-0. We have a helicopter circling the ballpark here this evening. I remember quite a few years ago when during one of the summers when the Loonies were out in droves, as there's a strike, somebody dropped a sack of flour that hit out by second base. I think it just missed Maury Wills. Somebody had a good laugh, but Maury almost had his head pushed somewhere around his sternum. Maury wasn't the tallest guy in the world, and he, I don't think he would have been aided by something like that.
Designated hitter, Rob
But Maury, who lives in Playa del Rey now, see him every once in a while. Doberman's out there running around. Maury gives the Dobermans a little head start and then beats them at about 50 yards or so. And the first pitch is strike to designated hitter Rob Tosti. Bryson off of first, Takahashi away from second. Nobody down here in the 5th inning. Curveball by Sheneman, catches inside, 0-2. Granada Hills has scored in every inning so far. 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 6 in the fourth, and so far 2 here in the 5th inning. Sheneman off speed pitch down low. 1-2. Takahashi out at second. And Fred Ryson with the custom green and white jacket on, away from first. And a swing and a miss by Tosti. So Sheneman gets Tosti for the first out here in the 5th. And that'll bring up a pinch hitter, Bob Allen. Allen to come in to hit for Dave Peskin.
batting for Peskin, number 28.
Bob Allen,